Hi guys, TGIF. Man, it's been a week. Hi everybody, thanks for coming on. So tonight is my one of my favorite nights of the week because it is what I call my Friday night sip and sew. Hello, stay-at-home quilter. I'm going to invite Rishla back on, Rishla Ramsey from Got Quilts. She is going to announce the winner of her long arm quilting contest that she mentioned on Wednesday. So I'm going to bring her up, but let me just make sure, Rishla, hang on one sec. Let me make sure I'm up on Facebook real quick. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see. How do I do this? There. They changed Facebook around and I'm all confused. Okay. Oh goodness, no. Sorry guys. Oh, there I am. Good. Okay. There I am. All right, Becky. Hi, Nancy Reeves. Okay. My buddies are here. All right, let me get Rishla up. Ooh, wait, come back. Okay. Yes, add. Okay. So, for those of you, oops, goodness. For those of you who joined us on Wednesday, I interviewed long arm quilter extraordinaire. Oh, my hair looks cute like that. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Now, Facebook land, I know you can't see Rishla. I think you probably can hear her, but I'm going to repeat the name of the winner so that we can all find out together. But everybody, welcome Rishla Ramsey back from Got Quilts. She joined me on Wednesday at my Boss Babe Shop Talk. Hi, Kathy and Dan. Sorry. Anyway, and she, everybody emailed in with their passwords and were able to enter into the drawing. And Rishla has a bit of an announcement to make for who won the free quilt out for the twin size quilt. So, Facebook land, if you can't hear Rishla, I'm going to repeat the name of the winner here in a moment. So let's all work with the technology here. Okay, go ahead, Rishla.
Sounds good. And in just a second, Sonia, I'm going to have my daughter hold this because my phone has to, otherwise you guys are going to be seeing my ceiling. So can you just
Oh,
for me,
Sonia.
Okay, thank you. She was so sweet to help me out the other day, which, by the way, I was so nervous.
Oh, yeah, couldn't tell.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem.
I literally have a hat.
Cute. She's got a purple hat, Facebook land, that she's drawing everybody's names out of.
Because I do drawings during my Stash Buster quilt-alongs. I do several giveaways, to motivate everybody to keep up.
Yay!
So anyway, so we had 66 entries.
Wow, good job, guys.
So, way to go. And
66 entries. Yay!
Everybody on pieces of paper.
Look at that. She's showing her paper confetti.
So anyway, so I'm going to see, maybe Sonia will just stick her hand in here, her other good hand, and pick one.
Okay. Thank you, my dear.
So it's not on me. All right, pick one paper. Okay, all right, I'm going to put my hat down. And who is EMCB? Oh, it's Elaine.
Oh, you know her?
I know this email address. So Elaine, I don't know if you're watching. She's the one who won.
All right, Elaine, you are the winner. If your name is Elaine and you entered into the contest, you are the winner. Yay!
Hey, congratulations, and thank you so much to everybody for hopping in and taking the time to watch, and then send in your email with the code word. And
Yes, I really appreciate you doing the giveaway too, because that was exciting for me. So I'm elated for Elaine. That's quite a cost savings to have a twin size quilt out done. So
yes, I know. Congratulations, and again, I'm grateful for all of you for just joining in.
well, I look forward to having you back on the show here in a little bit, and we can check in again and see how things are going there.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks, Rishla.
Okay, have fun.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Oh,
How do I get out?
Dethers. I don't know.
Should I X myself out?
Oh, maybe I do it.
I'll try it. Let's see. Oh, there.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Thank you, Rishla, for coming on and doing a live drawing. That was kind of exciting. Did Facebook hear that okay? I hope so. We're going to assume that you did. Okay, you guys. I am so SEW excited about tonight. We have all kinds of good stuff. Thanks, Rishla. She says I'm out. We have all kinds of good stuff planned for tonight. So tonight I am sipping, I always get asked this, I am sipping a rosé, the Cote de Roses that they have at Costco, which is one of my favorite summer adult beverages. It has the most beautiful bottle and it's very refreshing. And so that is what I am drinking this evening. Tonight, I'm going to, oh, Mom says she wishes she could reach out and give me a big hug. Soon enough, when COVID ends, Mom, soon enough. We are going to talk about Quilt As You Go tonight because I posted that beautiful green tulip pink sampler earlier this week on my Facebook and Instagram and pages, and I got a lot of comments about how I could do something like that all in my Featherweight. So I thought I would actually do a quick demo as to how to do the Quilt As You Go. Couple things, some housekeeping things. I earlier today prepared some mini blocks. So the quilt, thank you, Myra. The quilt, Myra says, it was beautiful. It was just very green, and everybody who knows me knows that I can't resist a green quilt. So I prepared some small blocks today so I can show you how to do the stitching together process. The blocks that I prepared for today are 6.5 inches big, but the ones that were in, hi Jeannie McCormick, the ones that were in that big quilt were 20.5 inches. So I was basically working with 20-inch quilted sandwiches in the little neck of my sewing machine, which is very doable, as you guys may know. So, hi Beck, my bestie from childhood's on, from SoCal. I hope you guys got home to Corona okay. They were vacationing last week in Idaho. So just understand that the scope and scale of how I put that big quilt together earlier this week was much different than what I'm about to show you guys tonight. But the process and the procedure still works. And it's still, again, totally doable on your Featherweight. So let's get started. So this is Ruby. This is my prize 222. She is pretty much my everyday stitcher. For those of you who are familiar with the 222, you know that she has feed dogs that drop. It's one of the perks of the Cadillac of the Featherweight world, the 222, is that feed dogs drop down. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about setup for free motion because I've got a little bit more free motion to do tonight before we start hooking things together. And so I'm going to talk mostly in reference to how you would use your 221 because I realize that predominantly is what people have because the 222 is kind of rare. So this is what I did. I made little mini quilted sandwiches today. It's going to make me hungry. It's dinner time here. And so can you guys see my little, oh, I don't know if you guys can see it. Maybe it's easier to see from, oh, let me put my other camera on. Go live there. Okay. So for Instagram world, here is this. For Facebook land, here is, wrong way. Here is this. So look at these little tiny seahorses smooching, so cute. So there's this. And then I also did the crabe, les poissons. Oop, there. And Instagram world, there. So I free motion quilted these on this little sandwich. I'm just going to do a little 4 patch just so you can see how the joins work. Where I got, so how I did this, the little quilted, well, they're basically pot holders, is I used the Golden Threads quilting paper. Have you guys seen this stuff before? So what I like about this stuff, hi Lisa from Connecticut, hi Annette from Kansas, is that you can draw on this. So if you have a pattern, a continuous line quilting pattern that you're trying to copy, and for me, I use some continuous line quilting patterns out of the Follow the Line Quilting Designs by Mary Covey. What I love about this particular designer is that she does patterns for not only your square coordinating patterns, coordinating sets of patterns, I should say. So your square, your diamonds, not your diamonds, but your setting triangles, and then your border patterns. And it's all, I don't know if you guys, I'm going to show Facebook land first. You can see that she gives you all the sets. She has many volumes. It's called Follow the Line Quilting Designs. And they all coordinate with each other. So there's 20 coordinating sets in each volume, and I think she has like 5 or 6 volumes. It's pretty cool stuff. It takes all of the guesswork out of what to do with your quilts. And before I had my fancy long arm, my computer I set up, I use these things a lot. So what you do, I found the 2 little under the sea creatures that I wanted to put in my little mini pot holder sets. And so here is my, there. Put this down here so Facebook land can see them easier. So I trace them onto my golden threads paper with a disappearing ink pen. You can either use the blue water soluble pens. I would stay away from the purple air soluble ones, because if you have a bunch of these to do, so you have to draw a bunch of sets, the ink might disappear before you actually get to quilting it. My favorite pen when I'm doing this type of transfer work is called the Friction pen. It's not good to use this on Indonesian hand dyes or some silkscreen prints. Will I post that? Yes, Kathy, I can post the quilting paper later. But I always color test it in a seam allowance to make sure that it's not going to bleed any color out first. But for drawing on that paper, it works really well. And it's a nice, crisp line. So then once I have everything drawn, I'm going to stitch right through. So here's Facebook land, can see that. So you can see I've done one of my little smooching seahorses, and I'm going to quilt this other one out while we're sitting here chatting. Okay, so let's talk about the setup of the machine really quick so you guys can see my layout. Now let's talk about the machine. So I like to use, when I am free motion quilting, a thread stand for my cross wound spools of thread. I like the So Fine, the Superior So Fine line of thread for my quilting. It's a 50 weight, so it's nice and fine. I feel, oh, hey guys, I'm sorry, I was ignoring Facebook land. Hi Gloria, hi Debbie. Angel from Houston, Texas. Thanks for joining me today. Okay. So the setup on the machine is thread stand. If you guys have purchased or in the market for one, those cone converters work really well. They look like this. And it's for the big cones, like the big cones of the Superior line, for using big cones on the little featherweight. And it just goes right over the spool pin. But in this case, I decided to go low with it because it was blocking my face. So the stay-at-home quilter says, I'm gonna get that paper. I always panic about drawing directly. I know the water-soluble, I know. She said the water-soluble pens never come out. I know, that is exactly why I like this paper. There's also another, a medium that you can use that I was taught to use is the Sulky Solvy, which is a top side stabilizer, water soluble stabilizer for working with embroidery and anything with a nap, like a terry cloth towel. Oh, I have someone on from Kirkland. Hi, we probably live next door to each other. But that you have to use a felty tippy pen on that film, that Solvy film. The paper I find a little bit less cumbersome to use. So I have pinned down my paper, and I'm going to start quilting through this. So the setup is exterior thread stand, threaded through the stand. I have on my 222, I have lowered my feed dogs so that I don't have to worry about resistance when I am trying to quilt. If you have a 222, you know that you cannot lower your feed dogs. You have to use painter's tape. So I just take a small piece of painter's tape. I put my stitch length regulator, which is the lever on the neck of the machine, in dead middle. So not reverse, not forward, but right in the middle. And that way the teeth are not tearing the tape away. They're just going up and down. and then that sits on there to not impede my fluidity of my quilting movements. So if you want any additional information, maybe a slower explanation on the setup for free motion quilting, you can go out to my YouTube page, and there's a canned video out there with myself and Minnie, the red and white polka dotted featherweight, and I go through a much slower explanation of the setup of it. So in case I just whirled through that too quickly. I also have my acrylic extension table on here, which elongates significantly. This is the large size, my my table length. The reason why it's nice with the free motion quilting is because the more room you have to kind of keep your hands out of the moving needle, the better your end result is. So I am of the school of thought that I bring both of my threads up to the center, up to the top of the fabric when I'm starting to quilt, and then I'm going to do some locking stitches. Some people like start out quilting and then back up over themselves and then keep going. It's a technique for securing your continuous line quilting threads beginning to end. I am of the school of thought that tends to create a little bulky rat's nest underneath the quilt, and I prefer the backs of my quilts to look just as nice as the tops of my quilts. And so I prefer to do the little tiny stitch method for starting and stopping lines of quilting. If you've ever tried to pick out little tiny stitches, you know that they are extremely difficult to pick out. So I'm going to start, let's take a sip first here. Okay, I'm going to quilt this out. I've got pins in here. The pins are simply holding my paper in place to start. Once I start quilting through it, the paper will be basically sewn to the fabric, and then I'm going to go through here when I'm done and pull it out. Now notice as I'm going through this, I'm not rolling the little tiny sandwich through the neck of the machine. I'm keeping the sandwich as square as possible, and then I'm simply moving it under the needle. Because if this was a real quilting scenario and I had a much bulkier piece of work that I was working with, it would get too cumbersome to keep rolling the quilt around with the bulk of the fabric in the neck of this tiny little machine. And so it's better to just allow yourself to be familiarized with driving the machine and not rolling the fabric around. So the other thing is a little tip here is if you need to adjust your hands or you've run out of room, it's better to wait until you can get to another point or an inside corner or like a natural change in direction. So that way you are, if you start off in a perfectly straight line and then stop and have to restart again, it's really hard to pick that up and not have like a little boop, boop, boop. Angel wants to know, what do you think about the snap-on feed dog cover? Do you think it works? So there isn't a snap-on cover, feed dog cover for the Featherweight Angel. Actually, I'm not really a fan of anything that straps down to the bed of the machine, because in my opinion, it's more important to protect your finish on these antique machines. So I like the painter's tape for, because it doesn't leave any residue, it doesn't hurt your finish, and it won't scratch up your machine. There is a metal plate that comes with a vintage button holder for the Featherweight that does cover the feed dogs. But in addition to being concerned about that metal plate scratching my finish, it also kind of creates a little hump to have to try and steer over, and it makes it more difficult to have nice fluid movements when you're quilting. So that's why I am a fan of the Notion known as the painter's tape. So, all right, let me work around. Okay, I'm gonna hit a pin here. Let me move that. Actually, it has stitched down well enough I can move all my pins. seahorse stitched. Okay. So I have already trimmed these little guys up. Just inspect my quality of work here. Looks pretty darn good. All right, so now that my motif is complete, I'm going to tear off the paper. Now, I realize that some of you may not be an expert quilter, and so this might seem a little bit overwhelming. Hello, Kathy from Decatur, Illinois. So Angel says, I found one that says replicated after a very scarce original. The new feed cover plate is designed specifically for clipping on and fitting over the... I have not seen that. A clip-on one. I have not seen that. I imagine it's someone who created the product, and it might be the only place you can get it, where the painter's tape is something that we usually have around the house. Our mentor, who was is Mr. McCullum, Dave McCullum, he was kind of a proponent of using whatever you had around you and not necessarily investing in new, thingamabobs, if you will. But I will have to look that up later, Angel, to see what you're talking about, because I haven't seen anything like that. All right. My little smooching seahorses are complete. So now I have my 4 blocks complete. Now we are going to bring our feed dogs back up, or uncover our feed dogs if you're on the 221. And I'm going to take my darning foot off. That's another key component to this. The darning foot was not something that came with the Featherweight for quilting. There is an antique one that came with some of the the 222s, and they're like $100. This one is the one that that I feel like works most of the time, and it is only $12. $12 is better than $100, as far as I can tell. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to do to assemble these. So the pattern is you go block to block to block, making a row, and then you create a duplicate row, and then you attach the row to itself. So with this 4-patch, I'm going to take one of the seahorses and attach it to the crabs, and then the crab and attach it to the seahorses to make a row of two rows of 2. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to start cutting some strips. Now I do this a little differently than some people. So the backing, you can see the backing here is the green Tula print. And I like it when, this is how I did my other one earlier this week. I used a different color for sashing on the top, this beautiful pink Zuma fabric. And I also used the same color for the top for the sashing strips, because I wanted to break up the backing a little bit by showing the crossbars. I did that very intentionally. So you need to cut strips 1 1/8. This is your backing sashing piece. So 1 1/8 times the, like for instance, when we just are doing the 1 block to 1 block join, they're cut to 6 1/2, because that's what I cut these to. And then for the top sashing piece, you're going to cut a strip 6 1/2, obviously, by 1 3/4. And then you're going to press it in half like this. So it has a folded edge and a raw edge. Okay. So the first seam that we're going to do, well, first of all, I'm going to put my walking foot on. So in case you didn't know, Featherweights, again, didn't come with walking feet, because quilters discovered the amazingness of them years after they were even, well, they may have, some of them may have known it before that they were stopped being manufactured in '69, but definitely all the rage these days is for quilters to use them. So we've sourced these little walking feet that are available on the website featherweightdoctor.com, And so I'm going to throw this on. There is the infamous penguin walking foot, which was a vintage original foot that is, these only sell for $30 on my website. And the vintage original penguin, if you are even lucky enough to find one, starts around $1,000. It's like one of the rare, everybody has to have in their collection machine or feet called the penguin. So I'm going to take my 1 1/8 inch strip by 6.5 long, and I'm going to stick my right sides together. Do you guys see this here on Facebook land? My right sides together like so, and then I'm going to put my 1 3/4 inch folded strip with the raw edges out, and I'm going to pin all of these layers together so that they don't scooch on me when I'm sewing. Okay, so just to review on Facebook here, right sides together on the backing. When was the penguin first made? That is actually a really good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I imagine it was pretty early on in the manufacturing years, but I do not know. Does anybody know when the penguin foot was manufactured that's watching? You may have stumped to the featherweight doctor. Maybe I might have to answer your question on Monday during my Ask the Doctor. Okay, so I'm pinning this because I don't want anything to move. The reason why I'm using my walking foot is because there's so many layers of fabric here, and I don't want anything to shift while I am stitching. Goodness gracious. Featherweight Shop has a replica. Oh, okay. Gloria says Featherweight Shop has a replica metal. Yeah, I am just not a fan of anything metal that can scratch. Really, I really don't like anything that straps down to the bed of the machine, because in my service shop I just see too many things come through with scratches on the bed because something slid while they were using it. All right, now I'm going to very carefully put a 1/4 inch seam in here. Oh, I just put a decent stitch length on there, Darlene. Okay. Take my pin out, and I'm actually going to lighten my presser foot tension a little bit because this is so thick, it's actually dragging a little bit. Okay. So I have many layers of fabric here. Okay, seam number 1 done. Okay, so let's see what we have. I'm an anti-thread person here. All right, so I have my backing join. Do you guys see that? Backing join. I have my sashing join from the front, and I'm finger pressing these open. Technically speaking, if I was doing this for realsies, I would probably grab my iron and give it a good press so that everything was really open. But for tonight's purposes, I'm going to just do the finger press. Can our featherweights handle multiple layers? Oh, yes. Texas Honeybee, I think is how you say your Instagram handle. They were intended to sew light leather. Light leather. So and in fact, during this pandemic season, people have figured out that unlike with their modern machines, these little guys will sew through all of those layers on their face masks. So yes, they absolutely can sew through many layers. So you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm now taking the next, the next block, and I'm pinning it to right sides together on the backing here. I found the virtue of pinning these things. You guys probably couldn't see it, or maybe you could and you're just being kind, that some of my intersections on that much bigger quilt didn't quite line up because I was being impatient and not pinning things like I should have been. But tonight, for demonstration purposes, we will do things properly. So I have now pinned my next block on. You guys can see better on Facebook there. Okay. And I'm going to give it a 1/4 inch seam. Move my pin. I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam here. You're welcome, Texas Honeybee. What part of Texas are you in? I have family in the Dallas area. All right. Uh-oh. I just ran out of bobbin thread. Well, all right. Let's run a quick bobbin then. That never literally had 4 inches left. Never fails, guys. Actually, this is a good time because I really should have the clear thread in the bobbin. So let me grab. Myra says, I didn't look at your intersections. Good, thank you for being gracious. I did, and they were not right, which is why that quilt will never go to a show. Let me grab my clear thread. Oh, Edna, Texas. Where? Oh, got quilts. The Texas Hill Country Spring Branch, which isn't too far from Canyon Lake. Gosh, that sounds nice. Let me grab my clear thread, everybody. Hang on. Okay. This is my Mono Poly by Superior. Hi, Mary from Seattle. How you doing? And it's my favorite one of the clears, the clear threads. I'm just going to move this real quick. See if I can do this the easy way without having to unthread everything. Okay. Rishla says, oh, there wasn't, oh, this is one of those bobbins that had multiple layers of thread on here. And it's black, which means it's next to impossible to see the end. Hang on, guys. Oh, there's an end. Maybe. Where's my hemostats? Nope, that's the inside, not the outside. Okay. I'm going to find a different bobbin. Hang on. Okay. Miss Strong 98052, which would be Redmond. Are you laughing at me? It never fails. All right, empty bobbin. All right, let me run a quick little thing here. I'm putting this clear thread in here so that you can't see my stitches on the back of this quilt. Ooh. Okay. Joblin, is that how you say your name? Hello. Thanks for joining us. By the way, if you like these videos, please like them and feel free to share them to your friends. I always forget to say that. Okay. I probably don't need to run a whole bobbin in the clear. Okay, that should be good. All right. Give it a quick tug and make sure I'm got it in right. Remind us of the brand of clear thread. Okay, it is called Mono Poly, and it's a nylon polyester blend made by Superior Thread. It is not in the thread section. Usually it's on, if there's a Notion wall, like a pegboard wall, it's hanging in a package on the pegboard wall. It has Available in 2 different colors, clear and smoke. I imagine smoke is for using with dark threads. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, Jeanette. Are you an anacortes? Oh, that's right. That's where your cabin is. Forgot about that. What is the weight of clear thread you use? That's a good question. There's only the one weight on the mono poly. Oh, I forgot to tell everybody too. Before I started my free motion quilting, I ran a quick little sample of all 3 layers to make sure that my machine was tensioned properly before I went to my project. This is an expert tip here. I can't tell you how many times I didn't run a little quick sample before I started and my machine was all out of whack, and then I ended up having to use my seam ripper. Always keep a little spare part. Jeanette says, what weight? Okay, so I don't think there's a weight. It's just mono poly by Superior Threads. All right, let's see here. Let me pull my thread back up. Oh. What's going on? I'm being attacked by the thread monster. All right, let's start over here. All right, my pins are gone, so I'm going to have to hold this really tight with my fingers. Jeanette, I thought you were in a cabin. How are you dialed in here? Oh, that's, you said you put Wi-Fi. Oh, hi, Sarah. Sarah's on from So Much Charm. Hello. Okay. Okay, completed seam. Ooh, what did I do here? Oh. Okay. So now what I have here is a little row. I have a gap. Can you guys see this? A gap. Hold on, Insta, I'll show you in a sec. Here I've got a seam on the back that's different than my backing. So let me show Instagram here. So you can see I've got my little thing folded over that I'm about to take down and top stitch, and then I've got my backing on with the different fabric as my sashing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this over, and again, if I had my iron and this was like legit thing, I would totally press this so I could get the most amount of crispness out of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a seam down just like 3 or 4 threads off of my fold first. And then even though the other side is attached, I'm going to run another seam down the other side, just so it looks like I did it on purpose. I did. My producer behind the camera wanted to make sure that I shared the brand. The brand of the clear thread is made by Superior Thread. It's a manufacturer. And it's called Mono Poly. Okay. So I'm going to run another seam, just a matching seam, so it looks very intentional even though it's connected. Down the other side, a few threads off. Ooh. All right, so now I have my my first seam done. You guys can see here. Facebook, Instagram. All right, and it's clear on the back, so you can't see the thread, the backing thread. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to do my other one, my other set here. Where's my other short? Right there. Okay, so I have another 2. So this is 1 1/8 by 6 1/2, the length of my blocks, and this starts out at 1 3/4, and then I fold it in half, again by 6 1/2. So let's connect our little 2 here. So I'm going to start with my 1 1/8. there a way you can hold up that once more? Yes, Miss Texas Honeybee. Okay, so here you go. I'm going to move it nice and close. So now you can see my join. So again, the strip on the back whoop, 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 is 1 1/8 cut raw times 6 1/2, which is the size of my block. And then this starts out being 1 3/4. And I fold it in half, attach it to one side, and then roll it over and top stitch it down. So I'm about to do the same process again here with the next row. Oh, what scissors am I using? They're embroidery scissors, Miss Angel. Look, they're rainbow. Because guess what? They're Tula Pink. Are they cute? They're for cutting around applique on embroidery, but they're just really sharp, and they were the ones that were on my desk. So that's what the best scissors to have are, the ones that are in your hand when you need them. Oh, come on, darling. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of a cloudy day here in Seattle. What about you guys? It's probably hot everywhere else. We just like the rain here, you know. Yes, Bridget from Facebook says that clear thread makes a difference. It totally makes a difference. Okay, put some pins in here. My mom said fancy schmancy scissors. Yeah. Oh, they're called duckbill scissors. Thank you. I did not know what they were called. Oh, hot and dry in Texas. I bet. All right, so I'm going to put my first seam down first. Everything's pinned together so nothing will move on me. Let's back it up. Move my pin. Do you have mono poly? Oh, just the mono. Sarah wants to know from So Much Charm if the mono poly is just in the bobbin on the top, just on the bobbin. I'm using a colored thread on top, trying to color. I normally would color match this, my strips, which would be a very hot pink color, but I was using turquoise on my little seahorses, so I didn't change it. Linda Wood says, sunny and hot. You're in Kennydale, Texas. Sarah, have you used your 222 very much? 90 in the shade in Houston. Ooh. When we lived in Arizona in the desert, 95 in the shade was about perfection because it was a dry heat, and so it just was lovely. Okay, so what I'm doing now that I have this seam sewn is I'm finger pressing, doing it out on Facebook here, finger pressing this all open on the back, and then I'm going to take my next piece, which I want to make sure I'm doing this right because I want all this to go in. So I'm going to put the backings together again, right sides together, and pin them together. If I had an iron and this was a big project, I would be pressing everything open so it was nice and crisp, but for demo purposes we're finger pressing. Woo! Ow, I just stabbed myself. Not yet got a namer. Did you get, you were doing a contest, weren't you, Sarah, on naming her? My mom says never sew over your needles. That's right. Gotta name her first. LOL. Naming contest ends on Tuesday. Nice. She does need a name. I had a wonderful conversation with a shop owner in Michigan yesterday, and she was chuckling at me because I was telling her the names of my featherweights. I figure if we spend this much time with them, they should definitely have names. Hi, Stitches Workshop. Hey, Melanie. You're tardy, Melanie. I liked how your big old pup couldn't pick a place to lay down today, so he crawled over 2 different beds just to get to your couch. So fun. Carla, hi. I'm good. How are you? Okay. So, here we go. Can you guys see okay? So now I'm going to flip this over and finger press it open, and then I'm going to top stitch down. Ooh. So really what's kind of cool about this whole method is that there is a split in the batting, but there's no gap. Texas Fabraholic. That is the coolest name. If you're a Fabraholic, I might be a Featherweight-aholic. I have just a few of them. Just a few. People give me a hard time all the time about how many featherweights I have, and I remind them that I only have 6 personal machines. And you guys see all of them, so they all get use. Can I use the same walking foot for my low? Yes. So Angel wants to know. Bridget said, you name your kids. Why not name your machines? Sometimes I like my machines better than I like my kids. So there you go. Angel said, can I use the same walking foot from my Lotion Janome on my Featherweight? You could try it. Some of the brothers and the Janomes are universal low shank feet. And so sometimes they are, oh, Sarah said no. She's tried it. Sarah from So Much Charm said, no, Angel, the low shank Janome will not work. The walking foot will not work on the Featherweight. Good to know. Some of them are, you know, you can use them on different machines. Oh, forgot to put threads. You guys, I am a anti-thread person. I don't like having things hanging out and not looking finished. All right, so I'm just top stitching the other side, so it looks like I did it on purpose. Oh, Texas Fabraholic says she likes my Minnie Mouse machine. That one right there. Minnie and I, we have a good relationship. She is really well known on the internet, and so she will forever be my demo machine because I can't go anywhere without her. People want to see that machine more than they want to see me. I took her to a big expo here in the spring, or last winter before COVID shut us down, and people were taking pictures with her like she was a celebrity, and I was standing in the corner by myself. It was pretty funny, actually. Sarah said the walking foot space is different on machines, and the Featherweight is unique and tricky. I will say, Sarah, that I went through about 2 or 3 different universal walking feet before I found this one that I like, because she's right, not all even universal low shank walking feet are created equal. There are just a millimeter deeper, and they pinch down too much on the fabric. Even if you adjust your presser foot tension, it's too much. Waiting for you to make me oh, is this Christine? Texas Fabraholic, is your name Christine? I think this is Christine. Okay, so Jenny says, I'm just lurking here. I don't have a Featherweight. It's been hard finding one locally. True. As a dealer, I'm having trouble finding them. I'm not quite sure what it's going to... Oh, Texas Fabraholic is Christine. Which one am I using? Which machine am I using? This one is Ruby. She's my prize 222. Jenny on Facebook says she's just lurking. She's having trouble finding one. It is getting harder and harder to find them. which means if you go by the basic laws of supply and demand, it means that the ones you do find, you're going to pay more for because they are getting harder and harder to find. And COVID hasn't helped anything because everybody's sewing. Lisa, my buddy in Connecticut, says, my Featherweights names are Betty, Dorothy, and Connie. They are my sister's names, all born in the 30s and 40s. That's so cute. Do you think of them every time you pull out one of your sister's named machines? I think that's fun. Yes, but also the walking foot. Which one? Oh, they're the ones, Christine, the ones that we sell on the Featherweight Doctor website is the Singer. It is not a real Singer Featherweight, but they say Singer on them, and I sell these on the website for $30. Okay. All right. Joining quilts as you go makes so much more sense to me now. Thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad. All right. So what I got here, let me show you what I have. So I'm going to show Facebook land first. So I have 2 rows. You guys see my 2 rows here. Now I'm going to connect them. So I have more strips cut. I have my 1 1/8 and then my folded over already pressed. That was my Eleanor Burns impression. 1 1/8 strip and my 1 3/4 strip pressed in half. So I'm going to take the lower one, and I'm going to put my right sides together, and let's see if I did my math right. I did. Look at that. So I'm going to make sure I cut that appropriately, and then I'm going to take my upper thread, or my upper one, and I'm going to pin all the layers together. Oh my gosh, it's 4:52. Where did the time go? Okay, I gotta speed this along because they're gonna cut me off. Ow. I just stabbed myself again. I don't want to bleed all over my quilt. Hang on. Hold on. Mom, you spoke too soon. My mom just said, you make it look so easy. I just jabbed myself. Let's see. Okay. Not a gusher. Good. My family likes to give me a hard time about all my cuts and pin pokes that I get from sewing. I'm like, it's an occupational hazard. Once I have this little 4-patch done, technically I would be ready for binding, and I would just do my traditional 2 1/4 inch or 2 1/2 inch binding, double rolled binding. Okay. Okay, pin out. All of those layers of fabric, she just is like, I got this. Okay. So now I've done my larger seam here. And I'm going to take my little 1 1/8 and I'm going to finger press it open like so. Okay, and then this is going to go here. I think next week on my Sip and Sew work will continue on my Tula Pink bed quilts. I need to get that done. And, oh my gosh, before I run out of time, guess what came in? My true colors came in. Look. Ooh, this is Tula's new line. How pretty. You guys helped me pick the pattern that I was going to use last week on it, the rainforest. So this is the one I'm going to do. Here, I'll put it down here where you guys can see it. And I have my backing fabric already picked out, which I picked like this really cool woven looking one. I'm so excited. So I got to get my other bed quilt done so I can feel like it's okay to start a new project. I don't usually like to have multiple projects going. I'm not that person that has 10 started projects in her closet and doesn't finish them one at a time. Yes, Jenny, my machines, some of my machines have been painted. I try to keep as many original machines as possible, but some of them are just beyond being able to salvage them. I call them, you know, the ones that are kind of on their way to the landfill. And those are the ones that we paint. But we're not painting right now because my husband is working a full-time job. And so we are going to be doing some painting here this summer potentially, but we're not taking deposits or anything like that. So it's something that we're hoping to get done this summer. Okay, so now, look at that. Can you guys see on Facebook? Look how cute. Look how cute. All right, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this over like this, and I'm going to top stitch it down. So while I'm running out of minutes here, totally a person. Oh, Jeanette, you're a lots of project person. I am not. So Monday I'll be back on for Ask the Doctor. We, due to popular requests last week, are going to do a whole Ask the Doctor on the foot controller. How to clean, how to service your foot controller, what new aftermarket foot controllers look like. We're going to talk about all that next week on Monday. And then we'll have a guest. Oh, I stepped right at the run. Come on, girl. Woo. She's like, that's a lot of fabric, but she still went through and didn't break a needle. All right, so we'll have an interview next week, and then the sip and sip. Oh, I just dropped something. Nothing important. All right, there we are. It's my little 4-patch sampler all ready for her binding. Look, how cute. All right, guys, that is the quilt as you go technique that I used on that big quilt. Do you change your tension when you're using the mono? I did not. Sometimes, because I put it in my bobbin. If I was experiencing a lot of thread breakage, I would have lightened my tension, but I wasn't having any thread breakage, so I was doing okay. All right, I'm not bleeding too bad, so we're good. Thanks, guys, for joining me at my Sip and Sew. It's always fun to chat with everybody. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will be back here 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I also mentioned a number of products tonight. They are all available on our featherweightdoctor.com website. And if you have any questions for me, you can email me at info@featherweightdoctor.com. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Bye, guys.